This clip is brought to you by 8 Sleep Mattresses, the temperature-controlled Tesla of beds that automates your sleep. Sleep better and enjoy this clip.
How do you deal with bad news and or negative stress?
What I do is I more so I break it down to like how I'm feeling, as opposed to what I think. So if something's happening, I instead of like trying to like come up with what I think about it, because I think then the ego gets involved in a lot of ways, because then I'm judging. So I just try to simplify it as much as I can, and like, oh, okay, this is just how I feel, and then what can I do for this feeling, and I just tie love to it in some way. I always bring it back to love. And that's what I do with everything. I consistently bring it back to love. Like I go through it and like, oh, okay, how can I have more empathy? How can I have more acceptance? How can I have
What about
more...
a situation like today where your flight got screwed up? Like, did that throw you off a bit? Did you get like frustrated, or were you able to kind of just like, oh, this is what I'm feeling. This happens all the time.
Yep.
It's part of travel.
Yeah, well, I think what I lean on to or always fall into is seeing things as opportunities, right? So like when you ask for courage, you don't get courage. You give opportunities to display courage. When you ask for patience, you don't get patience. You get opportunities to have patience. So like that's the type of stuff. And it doesn't mean I don't have the feeling, right? Because my avatar still has these feelings of frustration. He's pissed that he had to sit there, and he's pissed. He doesn't want to fucking sit in this fucking place anymore. He wants to get where he wants to get. He's excited to do these things, and now he can't. And so I just be like, hey man, here's a good opportunity for you to practice what you preach. Here's a good opportunity for you to be okay with it. Just sit in it. And then I sit in that. I let him sit in that too. I let him feel those emotions. I don't shut him off. I don't distract him. I let him sit with that anxiousness and be like, see, it ain't that bad. And he's like, all right. I actually do talk to him a lot, which sounds kind of schizophrenic, but I feel like that's the best way, is actually verbal chatter with my human. I speak to him all the time when he's going through it, especially if he gets upset about something. I'm like, what's this about? Like, what is this really about? And then when I have those conversations, I can always bring like, bro, that's your ego talking. That's actually not how you feel. And then he can see it. And then he's like, yeah, you're right. That's not how I actually feel. That's my ego.
Following along with what you were just saying there was confusing for a split second. I was like, okay, it's a separate thing. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's really helped me. It's profoundly, it helps me become the witness, become the observer of, right? Because remember, we're consciousness.
Mm-hmm. But that's a really cool tactic of what you're mentioning there, because if you think about it, it's like you're separating yourself from the thing that's going on. Like you're like, let's take a bird's eye view of this situation, rather than just being like something really fucking bad happens, rather than just being in it, getting fucking angry, blowing up. Back out. Fucking back out of it.
See it for what it is. The problem is we make it about us. The ego tends to make everything about itself, right? Like so you can even use like, say your girl's like acting like anxious and upset, right? And a lot of times in those situations, we're like, oh, why can't she figure it out? Or why is she bringing her energy into this, and I do all these things or something like that, and she's still not happy, right? Something like that. Say you do a lot for your girl and she can't figure it out. And you start creating like a checklist of like, I do this, I don't feel appreciated. So you're making how she's feeling about you, and that's the ego, because then you're judging her in a lot of ways. So what you can do is like understand that it's not about you, and then you can then see the love in her as opposed to the anxiety in her. And I learned this is a really great tactic too, dealing with people who have like severe anxiety or anger, or just people in general that you meet in person, like hard, like rough people that just are angry all the time. If you can see the child in them, that love in them, we're mirrors. But if you only see the anxiety in them, if you only see the anger in them, that's all they're going to see within themselves. So what I try to do is like always try to make sure, like one of the things I always actually tell myself is keep your heart open. I always say, like, keep your heart open. If I feel it closing even a little bit, like I get frustrated with somebody or I get impatient with somebody, like I make it about me. And I'm like, right now that person's going through their own thing. So how can I see the love that they're trying? And so I see that they're trying their best, and that's the love I see in them. And then how can I support them, as opposed to like making it about me. And that has worked profoundly with individuals that I've worked with relationships, all that kind of stuff. It's been really cool. Like, you know, and then it's like simple things, like especially with women, like praising them is a really powerful way to get women to shift out of their negative thoughts and behaviors. Men, it's a little bit more about dialogue, I feel, and conversations. So yeah, it's just about learning how to see love in people and bring that out of them when they're having a moment, instead of making it about ourselves.
So Power Project family, I hope you enjoyed this clip. We are on Discord and Reddit. We're trying to talk to you guys and build a community down there. So the links are in the bio. But remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with people so you can share the wealth of health. As cheesy as that fucking sounds. Peace.